Hello, and welcome to another episode, another day, another season of Loud Librarians. I'm Hannah.
Hey, I'm Amber.
How are you, Amber?
I'm doing good. I'm happy that the fall semester's back in sesh. Students are walking around campus again, breathing some life into these dusty library walls. Kidding, but it was a very nice and calm summer, but it could definitely be a little slow at times during this time.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
The summer months, they can be a nice break from the beautiful mayhem of the fall and spring semesters, but they can also be a little lonely. There's no one to shush, no one to walk in on a study room and say, hey, this room is reserved.
Yeah.
No one to charge hundreds for an overdue library book. I'm kidding. We're very lenient with loan forgiveness at Walsh, Fordham University Libraries.
Exactly. And not to mention, the summer is hot, and especially this summer, and I do not do hot. I hate hot.
Yeah, amber and heat go together like peanut butter and ketchup. Throwing it back to a condiments reference from last season's finale episode. But you know what's hot that I think you will actually like?
I doubt you have something that I would actually like, but what is it, Hannah?
Ouch.
Hot meaning.
This third season of Loud Librarians.
Woo-woo.
Woohoo. And we are not going to do air horn noises because we hear enough of that on Fordham Road.
Yeah, but you're speaking my language, I think. Type of heat I can probably handle. And I'm so looking forward to this season of the podcast.
Oh, yeah? Talk to me. What exactly are we going to be talking about this season?
Well, as you know, we've already discussed copyright.
Fair use.
We've gone through the various degrees of library service.
How may I help you?
Exactly. And of course, we scattered in a few more random episodes talking about our lives, Fordham University Libraries, and libraries in general.
So, okay, I guess that's it then. There's nothing more at all in the world to cover.
It's the series finale, Hannah. No, I'm just joking. No, there's always more to cover when we're discussing all the library things.
Right, you are, Amber. And you know what's something we haven't discussed yet? Our very own library collection. Jinx.
All right, so this season we're going behind the scenes and giving you guys an exclusive peek into the Fordham Libraries collection, with nearly 2 million books in the general collection and many additional items within our digital, special, archival collections, and more. Let's just say there's going to be a lot to discuss.
Oh, certainly. And before we dig into the meat and potatoes of today's episode, let's give you guys a quick rundown of what a library collection is. Because as librarians, we know that we tend to say a bunch of words that make sense within our line of work, but may not be well understood by the masses here. So, a library collection includes a wide variety of materials that meet the needs of a community and that support a library's mission, goals, and objectives.
Right. Every library has a general collection, which can include general materials for a general community or subject-specific materials for a specialized community. Library collections are continually evolving, and they're actively developed and managed to ensure that they stay relevant and in good condition.
Libraries may also have special collections that contain rare materials and items of historical value, which brings us to the focus of today's episode, the Fordham Library's special collections and archives.
So now the Fordham Library's Department of Archives and Special Collections houses the rare book collection of the Walsh Library, manuscript collections, and archives of the university. In addition, the department operates a preservation lab for the restoration of books and documents.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool material up there, guys.
Super cool.
Indeed. The Special Collections has rare books from 1473 to present. The Americana Collection has books and pamphlets from the beginning of American printing to 1865, plus selected rare editions published later. And we're just listing a few things here. We haven't even scratched the surface of all of the cool things that live within the archival vaults.
Yeah. So, Hannah, I've got a question for you.
What's that, Amber?
Why are we still staying down here? Let's travel up to the 4th floor of this library and see some cool things for ourselves.
All right, let's do it.
Get your purse.
Ooh. All right, we've made the long voyage up from the ground floor to the 4th floor, where the Fordham Libraries, Archives, and Special Collections is. And we are joined once again by our dear friend of the pod. You might recognize her from Season 1, Episode 5. It's the one and only Special Collections and Archives Librarian, Gabriella DiMeglio.
Woo. Hi, guys. It's great to be back.
Hey, Gab.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming back on the pod, Gab. So we are all the way up on the 4th floor, like we mentioned, and you have brought over some really cool items here. Talk about what are some of the hottest items we have in the archives and special collections.
For sure. So the first one I pulled for you guys is probably our hottest.
Ooh.
It's George Washington's diary.
Oh.
Which is quite a popular item here in the archives, as you can imagine. It's basically his orderly book from the summer of 1776. So we have his first-hand accounts of all of, the day of the Declaration of Independence, which he actually doesn't even mention until July 9th.
Which is not our Independence Day. I thought it was July 4th.
Not. Yeah, well, I'm not sure why he wasn't keen to report on it on the 4th. But it's really interesting. You see his handwriting and everything, and you can kind of track what was on his mind, and it's a very popular item, as you can imagine. It came to Fordham as part of the Charles Allen Munn collection. Munn was an American editor and publisher who founded Scientific American magazine and was also a notable collector of Americana. So part of his collection came to Fordham from his niece, whose name was Augusta Munn Tilney, who inherited many of the historical items that he collected from the Revolutionary period. So this is definitely one of the coolest, since it came from, our founding father himself.
Nice.
Wow. That's wild. And his penmanship is incredible, I must say.
I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah.
What other hot items do we have in our very own collection?
So another example of some rare materials that didn't necessarily originate from Fordham but came to Fordham by way of an acquisition is papyri from ancient Egypt.
Oh my goodness. And for those that want to know a little more, so papyrus or papyri is an ancient writing material made from the papyrus plant, which grows in marshy areas, especially along the Nile River in Egypt. It was one of the earliest forms of paper-like materials and was widely used in ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome for writing and documenting information. So, in other words, it's really dang old.
Yes, it is. And so a cool thing about some of the fragments in this collection, which I actually didn't know until recently when we were looking at a piece that is in the shape of a foot, right? And the information that we have on this piece is that it came from the foot of a mummy. So in doing some research on why we would have taken this from the foot of a mummy, I learned that a lot of these fragments actually came from, the mummy wrapping of people. Like, even the flatter fragments that have writing on them, a lot of them have these, civil records written in Demotic script. But basically, they took old papers that they had written on to wrap these mummies. And I don't know if this was always the case, but in this case it was, which was an interesting fun fact. But yeah, we're still learning about these items. Basically, they came to us from an associate professor at Fordham, a professor of classics who worked here in the 80s. We acquired the collection in 1983. As part of this partnership with her colleague at Princeton. And so basically they purchased a bunch of fragments of papyri and then split the collection. So half of them went to Princeton, half of them went to us. Cool. And we have about 50 fragments, some of which are really small, others are larger and have a good amount of writing on it. So they're really good examples of Egyptian calligraphy. But yeah, so basically, I don't read demotic script. So I'm going off of some information that's been provided by grad students who have done research with these materials. But it's a really cool collection and another popular item for people to come view in the archives.
I mean, yeah, that's incredible. And it says, we see here that it says perhaps from 2nd BCE century. And it's in our own collection. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Wild. Well, give us another hot item. Well, we came all the way up to the 4th floor. I mean, Amber came from the ground floor. I came from the first.
Dungeon.
So, I mean, these two items that we were just talking about, these collections, they're part of our special collections. Yeah. But then there's also the archival collection. So those are really old items that originated at Fordham. So, they're university-related records, and we have a bunch of those too. One collection is our photographs collection. Yeah. And I would say that's a really popular and kind of nostalgic collection of historical photographs from throughout the school's history. They show off students, faculty, old views of campus events. So a lot of people will come to browse through those photos and do their research on what campus life was like.
And this photograph collection, it's available online, right?
Yes. So all of these photos have been scanned and added to our digital collections, where they're under the same title, the Fordham Historical Photographs. And yeah, you can browse through on there, and then say you want to come in and look at the actual photo, you can make a request and we'll pull it for you in the reading room.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
very cool.
Those are some popular items, but we have many more.
A plethora.
Yeah.
Plethora. Gab, what's your favorite item up here?
So I have many little favorite items, but I would say that my very favorite has been this book that I pulled to show you guys as well. Mm-hmm. It's a 1926 edition of Pierre Louis' Aphrodite, which I had actually read already before I came here. Yeah. And then I saw it, and I was like, wow, this is a very pretty edition. Yeah. So I was flipping through, and I found out that it was privately printed and donated to Fordham by this alum named Daniel Madden, who basically came by a bunch of rare books and decided to donate some of them to Fordham. This one also has etchings by Clara Tice, who was a really kind of provocative artist in the early 20th century. So I just think it's a really beautiful copy of the book, and I hold it close to me. And yeah, I mean, it's cool that it kind of just sits here, and I can read it in the reading room if I like, but I know it's gonna stay here. And yeah, this is my favorite, but there are so many that I could have picked.
No, that's remarkable.
It's a really pretty book.
It has a red binding with some gold. It's very seems like very good condition considering the age of it. And yeah, I mean, that's a great choice. Okay, so this is, I guess, maybe your favorite item in the collection of the day. But between the first three items that you brought forward to us, the diary, George Washington's diary, the papyrus, and the Fordham photograph collection, let's play a game of those three. If you could kiss, marry, and punch of the three of these, what would you do? What would you do?
Yeah, who's getting what?
Who's getting what?
It's a tough question. I feel bad punching anything, really.
I guess we can use this figuratively.
But actually, I mean, as much as I love the papyrus and I think it's so cool, there is a little part of me when I look at pieces that have come from mummies, and I wonder, should they be here? I certainly recognize, the research value, but I might punch the papyrus back to the mummy.
It's very delicate material.
So yeah, we'll get that one out of the way.
Pirates, you get your punch. Okay. And what are we smooching and marrying?
Yeah, I think I would have to kiss the diary because it is pretty cool, and I love to look at it whenever it's requested. I think it's a really cool piece that we have here. But I would definitely marry the photographs. I mean, it's so fun and nostalgic to look through those, and I'm just a sucker for old photographs in general, so
yeah,
I'd say marry that one, yeah.
Good choices. Yeah, seems like a reliable choice.
Yeah.
Steady.
Yes, steady, sturdy.
Gab, how does the Archives and Special Collection enhance the overall Fordham Library collection?
So, I mean, I always say that the cool thing about the Archives and Special Collections, especially the archives, is that these collections only exist here. And I think that really enhances the overall library collection, in that, we have so many resources that are so important to researchers and the circulating collections and online and all that. But a lot of those, if not all, can be found in other places. These really are special and, one of a kind, and they only exist here, and we preserve them with that in mind.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really cool element of the Archives and Special Collections that's, specific to us, but also in that, there's just so much information to be found, and there's so much up here.
Yeah. Who knew? Very beautiful. Well, thank you for taking the time to show us around, Gab.
Yeah.
Of course.
All
Thanks
right.
for coming back.
Let's go back downstairs, Amber.
Get your purse.
Okay. Phew. Well, that was a really cool visit to the Archives and Special Collections.
I know, who would have thought that we have so many amazing items in our very own library collections? Insane.
It really is incredible, and this is just the beginning, as we will be diving deeper into what our Fordham Libraries collection has to offer all season long.
Yay! So that's all from us today. Tune in next week and follow us on the pod. See you guys.
Bye. This is a Fordham University Libraries production. Special thanks to Gabriella DiMeglio, editing by Andrew McDonald, theme song by Maria Sanchez.